Welcome to our animated philosophy series, where we explore timeless concepts in a modern context. Today, we're diving into one of the most influential thinkers of the modern era, René Descartes. Known as the father of modern philosophy, Descartes helped lay the foundation for a new way of thinking that would shape Western thought for centuries to come. He is best known for his declaration, Cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. But what does this famous phrase mean? How did Descartes arrive at this conclusion? And why is it so significant? To begin, let's step back into Descartes' time. We're in the early 17th century, a period of intellectual upheaval. The scholastic tradition, which had dominated medieval thought, was based on the works of Aristotle and the teachings of the Church. It sought to harmonize faith with reason, but it had become dogmatic over time. Descartes saw this as a problem. Philosophers were simply accepting ideas handed down through tradition rather than questioning them. He wanted to break away from this reliance on old authorities and build a new foundation for knowledge. And how did he do it? By doubting everything. So, let's talk about Descartes' famous method of doubt. Imagine stripping away everything you believe to be true, questioning every assumption you hold. That's exactly what Descartes did. He believed that to discover certain knowledge, one must begin by doubting the truth of all beliefs, even the most seemingly obvious ones. This process is called hyperbolic doubt, or extreme doubt. Descartes was incredibly thorough in his skepticism. He began by questioning the reliability of his senses. For instance, he pointed out that our senses often deceive us. Think about how objects appear smaller from a distance or how a stick in water appears bent. If our senses can mislead us, Descartes thought, how can we trust them to provide us with any true knowledge? He then went even further. He asked himself, what if everything I believe about the world is false? What if an evil demon is deceiving me, making me believe in a reality that doesn't exist? Now, of course, Descartes wasn't suggesting that an evil demon actually existed, but he used this hypothetical scenario to push his doubt to the absolute limit. But here's where things get interesting. Descartes realized that while he could doubt almost everything, his senses, the external world, even mathematical truths, there was one thing he could not doubt, the fact that he was doubting. And if he was doubting, then he had to be thinking. And if he was thinking, he had to exist, at least as a thinking being. Thus, Descartes reached his famous conclusion, Cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. This was Descartes' foundation for all knowledge. No matter how much doubt there was about everything else, he knew that as long as he was thinking, he existed. From this certainty, Descartes sought to rebuild knowledge step by step, starting with the self and moving outward. This brings us to rationalism. Descartes' method of doubt and his conclusion that knowledge must begin with clear, distinct ideas laid the groundwork for the rationalist tradition. In rationalism, reason is considered the primary source of knowledge, not experience, which can be misleading as we've seen. Unlike empiricism, which emphasizes knowledge through sensory experience, rationalism asserts that certain truths can be known through reason alone. For example, Descartes believed that concepts like mathematics and geometry were innate ideas, present in the mind from birth, and could be known with absolute certainty. This rationalist perspective had a profound impact on later thinkers like Spinoza and Leibniz, who would expand on Descartes' ideas, developing intricate systems of metaphysics and epistemology grounded in reason. But let's step back from the abstract for a moment. How do these ideas apply in the real world? Think about any problem you've faced in life. What happens when you rely on emotions or hasty judgments? Often, you might make mistakes or come to wrong conclusions. Descartes teaches us that careful reasoning, free from assumptions, is the surest path to truth. Whether in science, law, or personal decision-making, the principle of questioning our assumptions and relying on clear, logical thinking remains just as relevant today as it was in Descartes' time. Now, before we wrap up, let me share a quick story about Descartes' life. Descartes wasn't just a philosopher, he was also a scientist and a mathematician. In fact, his work in mathematics is equally impressive. He's credited with inventing the Cartesian coordinate system, which allows us to represent geometric shapes algebraically, something you've probably seen in any math class involving graphs. But Descartes also led an intriguing life. He was something of a wanderer, spending much of his life traveling throughout Europe. He had a habit of lying in bed until late in the day, thinking and writing. In fact, many of his most important ideas came to him while lying under the covers, pondering the nature of existence and reality. Talk about thinking deeply. Ultimately, Descartes' ideas transformed philosophy. He set the stage for modern thought by emphasizing reason, skepticism, and the pursuit of clear, distinct knowledge. His challenge to scholasticism opened the door for future philosophers to rethink the foundations of knowledge, and his legacy is still felt today in fields ranging from philosophy to science to mathematics. So to recap, Descartes questioned everything, even his own existence, but in doing so, he found the one thing he couldn't doubt, his own mind. His insistence on the primacy of reason laid the groundwork for rationalism, forever altering the course of philosophy. In our next discussions, we'll take a closer look at the philosophers who followed in Descartes' footsteps, like Spinoza and Leibniz, and explore how they continued to develop the rationalist tradition. Thank you for learning with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights into similar echoes.